Monday edition of FreightWaves Now. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. Exciting news in regards to volumes all across the country. Let's hear from Strickland in regards to what's happening out on the brokerage side.
Hey everyone, and welcome to your Monday edition of this brokerage update. Behind me I have a chart of the outbound tender rejection index paired with the DAT National Van Freight Rate Index. Now your Van Freight Rate Index is going to be an average of a lot of long haul freight in the country. Your OTRI is going to be what it is. Tender rejection rates are coming down slightly off of a high in September. You see that rates are also kind of flattening out, but we do expect this to kind of soften a little bit heading into the late week before we start entering that peak season we're going to talk about in November. So behind me here, I have the outbound tender rejection index weekly change. The blues are going to indicate where you need to pay attention to as a broker to cover your managed transportation and also maybe check for some spot freight activity. Out here in Decatur, Alabama, this blue area right here, tender rejection rates are peaking, as well as the Shreveport, Louisiana market. Now, remember that Northwest area where we were seeing a lot of increased activity because potatoes, apples, all the harvests are happening up there. We're starting to see this area settle down a little bit more. So if you are operating up there, you have somebody operating up there, you should have a little bit higher leverage than you did in the previous weeks. So I want to point out Shreveport and Decatur, you see these tender rejection rates really taking off here. Now these are smaller markets, so anything in this area is probably going to have, less freight coming in. So these are going to be areas that you need to make sure that you contact carriers first to make sure that you have a load available in these areas today and moving forward. And that'll do it for today's brokerage update.
Monday Carrier Update sponsored by Powerfleet. As we jump into Monday's edition of the Carrier Update, let's start off with a picture of the National Outbound Tender Volume Index. So the blue mountain here, your OTVI.USA, you can see down trending very, very small, little portion down, 0.07%. Not a huge surprise coming in after Saturday and Sunday. The important part to watch on this index is that it is under that 10,000 base point, which was set back in March of 2018. As it flows under this base point, it's going to indicate there's just a lack of outbound options for you, the carrier, as a whole. But there is good news. This orange line here is last year's OTVI. Last year's OTVI, you can see, starting to trend up just a little bit, staying steady, not a volume apocalypse by any means. So when you're heading into this week, understand there might be a few less options available than last week, but that doesn't mean there's little gems hidden all throughout the country. So let's take a look and see what's going on in regards to our head haul index on the weekly map. So we can see up there, turning down a little bit outside of Seattle, the LA and Fresno markets looking good as well. Phoenix having a surge in volume, bright blue. I want to focus on Texas. Down here, Fort Worth, a big turn up in regards to volume, and Houston, a big turn down. So let's take a look at what's going on inside of these markets and see if we can come back with a perspective. In regards to what happens in Fort Worth, Texas, outbound tender rejects at 2.4%, not very good. Same story around the corner in Houston at 2.06. So very soft markets. Most all contracted freight is being accepted out of there. So if you've got freight in both of these markets, understand that the rejections just aren't there, but in Fort Worth, the freight is. Moving over out west, Phoenix, a lot more inbound volume versus outbound. No surprise there, even though the outbound volume is picking up. In regards to rejections, down just a little bit and trending down 2.4%. So once again, nearly 98% of all the contracted tenders in Phoenix being readily accepted. Closing it out, Texarkana, Texas, a lot of outbound options and a lot of inbound freight rejections. So 10.53% on the inbound tender rejects. If you got a chance to go into Texarkana, that might be one to look at. As always, thanks so much for watching your Carrier Update. We'll see you tomorrow. That'll do it for today's edition of FreightWaves Now. Thanks so much for watching. If you're on YouTube, be sure to hit like and subscribe. And as always, follow us on all social media channels, whether that's LinkedIn, Facebook, or Twitter. We'll see you tomorrow.